wherein the gate voltage was positive but a small value. Now today we are going to discuss the inversion mode. So the left hand side of your screen shows you the MOS element, the MOS structure, the MOS cap, and the gate voltage applied, which is greater than 0 but a large value. So let us see what will happen step by step. So just listen very carefully, concentrate on the left hand side diagram. Okay. So when we apply a metal gate, we get some positive charge coming onto the metal gate. Correct. Now the majority carrier holes which are there in the p silicon substrate, they will get repelled by the positive charge at the gate. At the same time, due to the negative potential applied at the body, they will get attracted towards it. Other way of saying it. Okay. So the majority carrier holes in the p silicon, in other words, will go away from silicon dioxide interface. So as we keep increasing the gate voltage, we will reach a point where the depletion region increase to a maximum value. Okay, a maximum thickness. So here on the right hand side you can see 0 to xdm is the maximum depletion region thickness or the width. Okay, and after which it will stop increasing anymore. I mean, even if you go on increasing a value of vg, after this maximum value of depletion region width, it won't increase it more. Depletion region, I mean, no more immobile carriers will be generated inside. Okay, so what will happen instead is, as the gate voltage is increased further, the minority carriers. Now listen, in p-type silicon you have majority carrier holes, but you're forgetting you also have minority carriers. So as we increase the voltage, you're also increasing the chances that these minority carriers will also get attracted towards the silicon dioxide interface. Okay, since you have applied a negative potential at the body, these minority carriers, which are electrons, begin to go towards the oxide layer, but they cannot cross the oxide layer. So they get accumulated or piled up near the Si-SiO2 interface. So next time you apply more voltage, more gate voltage, more of these electrons will get, excess carriers will be generated, because as we increasing the voltage, these electrons, minority carriers, will get thermal energy and they will be attracted towards this they will move away from the bulk p silicon and they will be piling up near the SiO2 interface, as you can see over here. So what will happen is, if we keep on increasing vg, the energy bands which are already bending will bend to a point where the surface at SiO2 interface will become n-type. Okay. Now listen very carefully. This is very important concept, that we have a p silicon substrate, and within the p silicon substrate we are creating a n-type material, or we can say within a p-type silicon substrate we are creating a layer wherein it's consisting of all the electrons. That means we can say within a p silicon we have created n-type. Okay, so that means your SiO2 near the SiO2 interface, the surface will become n-type by inverting the underlying material which was p-type to start with. Okay, so the surface is inverted near the SiO2 interface, hence the bands which are already bending in case of depletion will bend even more. Okay, so hence the band bends such that EC, this is the conduction band which is closer to your EFP. Now, whenever the EC conduction band is closer to your EFP, it indicates that we have a N-type material. Okay, whereas we already had a P-type material only. So that means within the P-type material we have created an N layer. Okay, so that is what is indicated by this. So we can say we have inverted the surface. We have started with P-type silicon substrate, and now we have near the SiO2 interface, we have created a N-type surface. Okay. So that is what is happening over here, and this is the band bending in the inversion mode. Now let us go a little further and let us start, understand how we draw the energy band diagram from the start. Okay. So what we have over here is this. So at the beginning, for the energy band diagram for the inversion layer, see, this is the final diagram. Okay. On the left hand side, you see this is the final diagram, but we have to start from somewhere. So we say that, before we apply any potential, let's say that EFM and EFP are at the same level. Now we apply a very large value of VG. So what it will do? VG will very large value of VG will bring the EFM down. Okay, as you can see clearly over here, will bring the EFM down, because if we apply a positive potential, the Fermi energy level will come down. Let's say the EFP remains there only. So EFM moves downwards for the metal gate. So what it will do, uh, this will also create, if these two are the anchor points, if one of them stays there and one of them moves down, you will have the band bending like this. So we have a downward band bending, a more downward band bending in case of inversion layer, and the voltage drop across the oxide, the amount of bending in the oxide is the voltage drop, that is the VOX. Okay, now since, so that's how we get this band bending. I've just connected these two lines, that's it. So now since we know that EI, EC and EFP will be a constant, right? So we need to determine how will the EC, EI and EV will look like. Okay. So let us see what will happen. So what happens really is, away from the surface. So this is away from the surface, that is bulk, right? Uh, the p-type silicon is neutral. That means there is no distribution of charges happening over there, away from the surface. Okay, so the energy bands will remain flat over there. Okay, so when we have drawn EM, over here, yeah, EM, just draw the semiconductor, that is your valence band, your EI, which is the intrinsic Fermi level, and EC, which is the conduction band, away from the SiSiO2 interface. So that means we have a flat energy bands in the bulk p-type substrate. Now, what will happen over here now? What will happen if we move closer to the interface, SiSiO2 interface? We have already seen that as we approach the silicon dioxide interface, the electron concentration will increase. Okay, because the minority carriers are getting attracted towards the SiSiO2 interface. So if the electron concentration has increased, that can happen only if EFP, which is over here, has moved closer to EC. That is exactly what is happening here. You see EFP, EV, that is the valence band, is away from EFP. That means, and near the bulk, it is closer. So that means in the bulk P silicon, it is P-type, but as we go closer to your SiSiO2 interface, your conduction band is near it, as you can clearly see. That means at the surface, we have created a N-type layer. Okay, that means we have inverted the surface. Fine. So yeah, that's why we have the EI and EC will also follow by the same amount. So hence we get a very a bigger a larger bending in case of your inversion layer, even larger than your depletion layer. Okay, so this is what happens, and we have two more things which we have to analyze, which are as follows. Let me just clarify it over here. Yeah, so the amount of bending over here, let me just increase this also. So the amount of bending over here, we have it, let me expand it. So this bending in the oxide is called as Q into Vox, that is due to the applied gate potential. So some of it is dropped across the oxide, that's why we have a bending over here, indicating that there is a presence of electric field. But here EI has crossed this EFP and gone down. Okay, so here the difference between EI and EFP is nothing but your Q into phi, which is your bulk Fermi potential. Okay, and here the difference between your EFP and your EI is nothing but your Q into phi S, which is the surface Fermi potential. Now it is surface Fermi potential that it is for the N-type layer. Okay, so the difference, the total amount of bending will be this phi Q into phi F S. So the total bending is the addition of both. Okay, so that's what we are trying to say over here. Now, total amount of bending, the total amount of band bending at the surface of semiconductor measured with respect to bulk will be denoted as Q into psi S. And I've already told you all it will be the addition of Q into phi F plus Q into phi S. Okay, now which is your addition of your bulk Fermi potential plus your surface Fermi potential. Okay, so your Q into VOX plus Q into psi S. Q into VOX is your oxide potential. Okay, VOX is the oxide potential, and Q into psi S is the surface potential. That is the overall potential drop across the P silicon will be equal to the gate potential VG. Okay, so this equation is very important. Now there is one important statement which we have to relate over here. The important statement is as follows: the amount of electron concentration at the surface over here, the amount of electron concentration at the surface, this is the amount of electron concentration at the surface, SiSiO2 surface near it, will be equal to the whole concentration in the bulk. That means what? At a large value of V. Okay, so so equal amount of concentration. That means in this small area we have 1000 electrons. So that is the meaning of concentration. In this small space, it is a well accumulated, piled up near the SiSiO2 interface. That is the meaning of the concentration. So over here, let's say if we have 1000 holes, we have 1000 corresponding electrons, minority carriers, which are getting generated. Okay, so that is the meaning of that statement. So that means your surface p-type semiconductor is inverted at SiSiO2 interface. Now this inversion, we call this as inversion layer. Okay, and it's called as inversion region or inversion layer, where we have a pileup of minority carriers. Now this helps to create N channel in a MOSFET. Now if it is a N type MOSFET, we have to have a P silicon substrate. Now this will justify that point. So if you make a P, if you make a NMOS, that means we should have a N type channel. That means we have to select the semiconductor base material, substrate material as P silicon. So it is the carriers in the inversion layer which will contribute to the formation of channel, any channel, N channel or P channel, depending upon NMOS or PMOS, and hence it will help in the conduction process in a MOSFET. Remember one thing, in this MOS capacitor there is no conduction of current possible. Only if you if you make a MOSFET out of it, the use of inversion layer will help the current conduction process. Okay, and next we go for the condition of surface inversion. So what is the condition for the surface to be inverted? The condition is as follows: your phi s, which is your surface Fermi potential, should be equal to minus of phi f, which is your bulk Fermi potential. They are equal in magnitude but opposite in polarity. Okay, or else if we want to say this in terms of Q into psi s, it will be twice of phi f, mod of twice of phi f. Okay? So here I have also given some textbook version of the answer. What is the surface inversion? So same thing as we have discussed. Okay, so here also I have written one thing. The creation of the conducting inversion layer on the surface with a large mobile electron concentration can be utilized for conducting current between two terminals, that is drain and source of a MOS transistor. Okay, so from this concept of creation of inversion layer, we will use this directly in your MOSFET structure. How? Let us see. Okay, so you remember you require a very large voltage to create a N channel, right? So we start with a P silicon substrate, fine, and we apply a gate potential. So this orange color is my aluminum gate, this blue color is my SiO2 layer. Okay, so if you apply the gate potential, we need not have to apply a very large potential over here. Okay, because we already have your source and drain region, which is consisting of N plus and P plus N plus regions, right? And we have a P silicon substrate. So the moment we apply the gate potential, we will have an inversion layer formed over here at a sufficient value of your gate potential. We will have an inversion layer, and this inversion layer will consist of minority carrier electrons. So when these electrons connect the N plus layer and N plus layer, we have a channel form and we have a conduction possible. As soon as you apply the potential difference between the drain and the source, the current starts flowing from the source terminal to the drain terminal. That means the carrier, the electron starts flowing from the source, because it is called as source terminal because it is the source of carriers. So the electrons goes from source terminal, it goes through the channel and it reaches the drain terminal where the carriers are drained out. Hence the name drain terminal. But the conventional current flows from the drain to the source, because the conventional current direction is from opposite to the direction of flow of electrons. So this is how we the MOSFET principle is. Okay, that's how the MOSFET works. And the underlying principle is the inversion layer, the creation of the inversion layer or the N channel. Now remember, if it is an NMOS, we have to select a P silicon substrate. And if it is a PMOS, that is, if we want to create a P channel inversion layer, we have to go for a N-type silicon substrate. So that's a very, very important point to remember. Okay, and I think we have covered the contents of this. So I will request you all to kindly note this energy band diagram, or if you have not noted it down, you all can try it out drawing on your own, understanding the concepts. Okay, now the amount of the amount by which the EFM goes down with respect to EFP is the applied gate potential. The more gate potential we apply, the more it will go down, and the more will be the band bending. Okay, so this is the energy band diagram of a MOS capacitor in the inversion layer. So if you have any doubt, you can kindly raise your hands, or you can type in the meeting chat, or else we will have a 30 seconds biological break. Okay, so I'll wait for any queries, anything. Okay, I guess there are no queries regarding this inversion layer. See, we have to revise this topic once more. We have to read it, and we have to go through this PDF once to understand it thoroughly. So drawing this on a piece of paper yourself will help you out a lot. Okay, now we will take a quick biological break. So just close your eyes, relax, look away from your computer screens, or just close your eyes, and we will have this biological break. Till then, I'll prepare for the next topic. Okay, just wait for 10 seconds more so that you can relax a bit. Okay, yeah. So I hope that that biological break of 30 seconds might have helped. Now we'll switch it on to the topic. Okay, we'll move on to the new topic. So this is a very, very important, slide, or we can say the section of the OneNote PDF, wherein we will derive the expression for XD. What is XD? XD is the depletion region width, okay, in the depletion mode. And also we will derive the expression for the depletion region charge density. You remember in the depletion mode, we have, negatively charged immobile acceptor ions. So we need to determine what is the amount of charge, and how much distance this charge is spread out. We will determine the expression, we will derive the expression for XD and XD and QD, capital QD, and then we'll see apply the inversion condition and see how this will change. And also at the end, we will also derive the threshold voltage. We will define threshold voltage at the end, but first of all, we'll derive the expression for it. So I'll require your complete concentration for next few minutes for the remainder of the time. We have around 20 minutes odd, so we'll try to complete at that time. Fine. So just concentrate. So let us see what we have drawn over here. What concentrate on the left hand side. So here we have your MOS structure, and we applied a VG, which is a small value. That means we are drawing this picture for a depletion mode. Okay. So remember, for a depletion mode, the holes are getting away from the P silicon substrate, away from the SiSiO2 interface, and they leave behind the negatively charged acceptor ions, immobile acceptor ions. So we are just drawing the charge density picture, the electric field picture, and the gate potential picture. Okay, so here are the three pictures. So I'll repeat once more. So these are the observations. So TOX, what is TOX? The TOX is the gate oxide thickness. And what is XD? XD is the depletion region width. And what is NA? Na is the doping in the P silicon substrate, which is uniform. Fine. So these are the three things which we will require. Okay. Now just have a attention over here. So as we apply the gate potential VG, there will be a positive charge at the gate. So here it is, the positive charge at the gate. It will be at the interface of metal and oxide. So this positive charge will be an impulse, a line. Why? Because there will be so many energy states at a given point of at a given point on a metal. Hence, it will be like a line charge. Okay. In 3D, in 3 dimensions, it will be like a surface charge, like this. It will be like a surface. So as you can see, the red color one, this is like the this is the positive charge which is near the metal semiconductor surface. Okay. Now, due to the metal gate potential, positive gate potential, the holes are repelled away towards body, leaving behind the immobile dopant ions, thus forming a depletion layer. So the charge on the depletion layer, now these are negatively charged. So hence we have drawn, see, this is x-axis, right? We have distance, and on below the x-axis here in the metal and oxide layer we have a positive charge which is denoted by qm. Okay, at the metal, charge at the metal, which is a positive charge, and at the semiconductor side, because this immobile ions are negatively charged, we have a negative charge. Okay, so this point over here is minus q into na. Okay, so I'll repeat, qm is the total charge in the metal and qd is the depletion region charge. And what diagram we have drawn over here, this is the charge density, or we also call it space charge, rho v of x. It is a function of distance. Okay, this is the charge density as a function of distance. Okay, so once we know charge density, we can find electric field. How? Let us see the expression. So we know this Gauss's law, the delta E of delta x is equal to rho of x upon permittivity, that is psi. Okay, so we have this Gauss's law. So if we want to integrate this, what we will get? E is equal to 1 upon permittivity integral of rho of x into dx. Okay, so integration means finding the area. Correct. So to draw the electric, uh, to field, so impulse charge. This is give you a unit step. So we'll have this unit step. So electric field is directed positive, directed in the positive x direction, because you have a positive charge over here and a negative charge over here. Electric field will be directed in the positive x direction or from left to right, as it is indicated by this yellow arrow. Okay, now comes the little bit tricky part. Now once we have come to the edge, now remember that the electric field will be constant throughout the oxide layer. So this EOX is the electric field in the oxide layer. Now as we come to the edge of silicon dioxide interface, the electric field will be discontinuous because of the boundary conditions. Okay, so what are the boundary conditions? Let me just go back to this. Okay, so we know that the permittivity of silicon dioxide. See, we are changing the material. Here we have silicon dioxide and here we have semiconductor. Correct. Now the permittivity of silicon dioxide is approximately 3.97, whereas the permittivity of silicon is 11.7. Now, when it comes to semiconductor surface, okay, we have this negative charge. Now, the moment we cross this SiSiO2 layer, we have a negative charge. So area definitely will have to decrease under the electric field, because integration is nothing but finding the area under the curve. Because there is a negative charge, there will be a reduction in the area. Fine. So in the three dimensions, there is a plane that is separating the oxide and the semiconductor, which will be pointing towards you through this PDF. Okay. Now the electric field is perpendicular to the surface, which is separating the oxide and the semiconductor. So the long story cut short, from the boundary conditions in electromagnetics, the electric field cannot be continuous at the boundary. Okay, so here the boundary is the SiSiO2 interface, but the displacement flux density will be continuous. Now, what do you mean by displacement flux densities in electromagnetics? It is nothing but the product of your permittivity and your electric field. So we know that the permittivity in the SiO2, that is the permittivity of the oxide into the electric field in the oxide is equal to the permittivity of silicon into the multiplication into the electric field into silicon. So EOX will be epsilon S divided by epsilon OX into ESI. Now we know that the in the silicon dioxide is around 3.97. So this is around approximately equal to 3 times ESI. That means the electric field in the oxide is higher than the electric field in the semiconductor at SiO2 interface. Okay, so here it is around 3 times larger than that compared to that. Fine. So what it will do? Yeah, that's how we get this ESI a little lesser compared to EOX. Okay. Now integration of a straight line, will be a negative going line, RAM, but it is a lesser space because of the negative charge. The area is less. Okay. And now that we know the electric field, which is the electric field E of X, we can determine the the gate potential, that is your V of X, the potential. So how do we do that? We have to integrate it further. Okay, so when we integrate it, it is derived from this formula. Let me just go back to it. So it is derived from this formula. The potential will be given by minus of integral of E of X dx, because electric field is a function of X and we have dx also over here. So what will happen is the integration of a unit step will be a ramp. Okay, will be a negative going ramp in the oxide layer. So you have to go ramp in the oxide layer, and then integration of a triangle will be a parabolic in nature. So unit will be a parabolic in nature. Okay, I guess this is clear. So once your ED, once your XD is reached, once the depletion layer is completed by the thickness XD, again the electric field in the semiconductor will be zero, as you can see. Okay, hence become zero because integration of which is the potential at the oxide, potential drop across the oxide, and psi s, which is the potential drop across the a semiconductor on the p type silicon. So that's how we explain this complete diagram, which is determining the charge density, rho of x, space charge, electric field, and the gate potential. So from all this knowledge, we are going to derive the expression of xd and the amount of depletion region charge. So let us start. Now let me just minimize this. And let me expand this part. Now we know this. Fine, and we know electric field is also given by minus d by dx of v, and so v will be, potential will be minus of e times integral of e. A potential will be minus of integral of e into dx. Okay, now since in the MOS capacitor there will be, the device will be neutral still even if we apply the voltage, because there is no current flow. So the total charge should be zero. Now what is the total charge over here? Qm plus Qd. That means Qm plus Qd should be equal to zero. Now listen very carefully. What is Qd? What is Qd from this diagram? It is nothing but it's a rectangle, right? So length into breadth. So what is the length over here? Length is xd, right? So what will be the this thing? This distance will be minus q into Na. See, the depletion region, the p silicon is made up of acceptor ions, so it is Na. Only that it has become immobile acceptor ions now. So it will be minus of, because it is a negative charge, it will be minus of q into Na. So the area of this rectangle will be minus into x. We also consider, because it's a cross sectional area, we also consider A. Okay, A is the cross sectional area, because this is the only 1D picture. In 2 dimensions, it will be area also, the cross sectional area of this depletion layer. Okay, as I have shown earlier over here. See, area, cross sectional area is also present over here. So this orange color is my depletion region. We are only seeing the front view of it basically. Okay, let us go back to this point. Okay, so now we are defining one more term, QM dash. So what is QM dash? charge per unit area. Fine. So this is the charge per unit area QM dash, which is Q into charge per unit area means what? This area, cross sectional area, will disappear. The term that A will disappear. So QM dash will be Q into NA into XD. Now, we already knew what is the electric field formula. So we are finding the electric field in the silicon, which is given by E into SI will be equal to 1 upon epsilon SI. What we are finding the electric field in the depletion region only. So we will integrate from 0 to XD only. Okay. If this we consider as 0, the x-axis, we will consider this as 0 to XD. So 1 upon epsilon SI, integral of 0 to XD, rho of x dx. And what is rho of x dx? Rho of x is actually nothing but Q into NA into dx. Okay. What is the space charge over here? In case of your semiconductor, it is Q into NA. And this Q into NA is a constant, and epsilon SI is also a constant. So we'll have an integral of x, which will be integrated over the period 0 to interval 0 to XD. So you'll get XD over here. So what will be the formula for E of electric field in the semiconductor? It will be given by Q into NA into XD divided by epsilon SI. Okay. So from here we'll go forward. Just remember this term. So I will appreciate if some of y'all, all of y'all will note this formula down. Electric field in silicon will be Q into NA into XD divided by epsilon SI. Okay. Now we'll move on further. So now we know that Vox is the potential drop across the oxide. So phi of S is the potential drop across the semiconductor. So the applied gate potential will be equal to Vg is equal to Vox plus psi s. We have already seen this. So from the charge density, we can say that there is a positive charge and there is a negative charge. Both are separated by Tox, right? Now, what does this indicate? This indicates capacitance, right? Because we have positive charge separated by a negative charge, and in between we have an oxide layer. So we have a capacitance, gate oxide capacitance Cox, which will be given by Qm dash divided by the total charge Qm dash. So which also will be equal to epsilon Ox, which we have seen in the first class, first lecture, epsilon Ox divided by Tox. Okay. So over here, the value of oxide layer, oxide potential is given by Qm dash divided by Vox, because the charge in the metal, the total charge over here inside this MOS capacitor is given by C into V. So what will be V? V will be equal to Qm dash divided by C ox. Okay. Now, what will be psi s over here? Now we know that this Vox is nothing but Qm bar, Qm dash divided by C ox. So we need to determine what is the psi s. Now, psi s is nothing but the area of this triangle. Okay. Correct? Because the potential will be the area under this curve. So we have to determine the area half into base into height. This is the area of the triangle under this curve. So what will be psi s? Potential will be equal to half into, we have a base which is xd. This distance is xd and the height is E of Si. Okay, the electric field Si in this semiconductor. And electric field Si is given by Q into Na into xd divided by epsilon Si. Okay, so if you multiply that, you will get to Na. xd will become xd square, and divided by, you will have, let me just expand it a little, and divided by, okay. So if you want to equate, if we want to write in terms, so xd will be given by square root of 2 epsilon Si psi s divided by Q into Na, and the unit of xd is centimeters. Okay, so what does this equation number A shows us? The equation number A shows us that your depletion region with xd is a function of your the surface potential phi s, and it is inverse proportional to the doping concentration, that is Na, root of Na. Okay, so if you have more doping, the xd distance will be even lesser. Now we'll move on to the depletion region charge formula. Okay, so what is Qm dash? So Qm dash is nothing but here we have it. Qm dash we have derived, we have seen that earlier. Qm dash is nothing but Q into Na into xd. Correct? So Qm dash is Q into Na into xd. Now we have the formula for XD over here. This Q and Na, when it comes inside the square root, will become square. So overall the Qm dash will be square root of 2Q epsilon Si Na into phi S. Okay. So again I repeat, Qm dash will be square root of 2 into Q epsilon Si Na into psi S. And this is nothing but your depletion region charge. So your QD, depletion density. What do you mean by depletion charge density? What is the density of this immobile acceptor ion? So this is given by the formula minus of square root of 2 into Q psi epsilon Si, which is the permittivity in the silicon, into Na into phi into psi of S into phi F, phi S. Okay, sorry, psi S. This is the surface potential. Okay, and the unit of this is coulomb per centimeter cube, because it is the depletion charge density. Where if you want to see what is the value, where epsilon by epsilon S into epsilon naught, which is the for the silicon we have 17.7, the permittivity in this silicon of the silicon material into the permittivity of the free space 8.8 into 10 to minus farad per centimeter. I want 1.036 into 10 to minus 12 farad per centimeter. Please confirm, one of you. So epsilon Si, I mean the permittivity in the silicon will be approximately equal to 10 to 12 farad per centimeter. So is the product of 11.7 and 8.854 into 10 to minus 14 giving approximately equal to 10 to minus 12? Please, one of you, please confirm. Is the product approximately equal to 10 to minus 12? I'm waiting for the answers. Okay, so epsilon of Si is it coming approximately equal to 10 to minus 12? Okay, yeah, students have replied yes. Okay, fine, good. So that's how we get this. So all the other terms we know, we only have to determine this constant term we have to remember. Okay, if they give the value of this permittivity for silicon, will have to write this value, that we have to use that value, or else this we can directly substitute 10 equal to, because it is 1.06036 into 10 to minus 12. 10 to minus 12 itself is very small, so we can approximate this is equal to 10 to minus 12. From henceforth in numericals also, if you see this constant, you can directly substitute it as 10 to minus 12. Now just 2 minutes of topping is remaining. Okay, so yeah, so what is this Vg potential? Vg is given by Vox plus psi s, right? And Vox, we have just determined the value of Vox. Where it is Vox term should be somewhere to determine the value of psi s now. And so this is the potential applied. This is applied at the gate terminals with respect to bulk or the body in the depletion mode. Okay, the amount of gate potential applied, which will be equal to the potential drop across the oxide and the potential drop across the semiconductor, which is given by your psi s. Okay, now we'll move a little step forward. Just 2 minutes I'll require. So under the inversion condition, we have used this formula before, right? We have seen this condition, that is psi of s is equal to, sorry, phi of s, which is the surface Fermi potential, will be equal to minus of phi f, which is the bulk Fermi potential. And the surface potential in case of inversion layer, or we can say the amount of band bending in case of p-type semiconductor, in case of inversion layer, is given by, in case of inversion condition, is given by Q into psi s. Okay, and if this condition is met, we have the surface potential, which is given by mod of 2 into phi f. Okay, so what we will have to do is, we already know the formula for, let me go back to the formula. We already know the formula for XD. We have to just determine the maximum depletion region depth at the onset of surface inversion. Okay, now I want all of you all to note down this formula. So in this formula, we have, in case of depletion mode, we have square root of 2 epsilon Si psi s divided by Q into Na. Now we know that at inversion condition, at surface inversion, your amount of band bending, that is psi s, is equal to twice of phi f. Okay, so in centimeters. So please note down this formula. So the maximum depletion region depth at the onset of surface inversion is given by this formula, xdm, which is equal to square root of 2 phi phi si, that is into mod of 2 phi f divided by Q into Na. Okay, Q is the charge, phi f is the permittivity in silicon, phi f is the the bulk Fermi the Fermi potential, and Na is the doping concentration, except the doping concentration, because it is a p-type silicon substrate, and the unit is centimeter. Okay, now the charge in the depletion region will not exceed this value. So this is the QD max. I also want you all to note down this formula also. We have also determined QD value. Now we have to just substitute phi instead of psi s. We have to substitute mod of twice phi f. Okay, that's the only change. So this QD max, which is the depletion region, charge density maximum value, it's also denoted by QBO. I repeat, it's also denoted by QBO. So QD max will be given by, or QBO will be given by, minus of square root of 2QNA epsilon Si mod of twice phi f at surface inversion. And the unit is again coulomb per centimeter square. Okay, the unit is coulomb per centimeter square. Charge in the depletion region at inversion condition. Okay, so I guess I cannot proceed further now because it will take 30. We start next time, that is on the coming Thursday, that is 11:30 a.m. We'll start with the concept of this threshold voltage and we'll complete that discussion. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Next lecture, we will start lecture number 6. We'll start with the definition. I mean, all these derivations are important, huh? Because with the help of all these derivations, we will also derive the formula for the threshold voltage, and we'll also see what is the definition of this threshold voltage and why it is so important in case of a MOS capacitor and hence in case of a MOSFET. Okay, so I guess that's it for today, and I will now be open to certain questions if you all have. Okay, let me unshare the screen and stop with the recording, and I will allow you all to mute yourselves now. I mean, unmute your selves, and so that you can ask any questions. Just give me a moment. I'll just stop the recording.